You're tuned in to Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP.
Back here, Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. When we usually talk Florida sports, we usually go down to my good buddy Sid Rosenberg, Keith Sims, or even Channing Crowder, and sometimes we may even talk to my grandparents as well. But right now, the big story out there in Miami are the Miami Hurricanes, and they are 22-4, fifth in the AP poll. And right now, the head coach of the Miami Hurricanes, Jim Larranaga, joins us. Jim, Zach Gelb here. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Well, thank you for coming on. And every time I'm in that Miami area, I love to dine at Joe's Stone Crabs. I'm assuming, being the big head basketball coach at Miami, that you've been to Joe's in your life.
I've been there, I think, one time.
Really? Only one time? That's surprising, because that's the place to eat. But when you went there, what'd you have to eat? I'd have to imagine you tried those stone crabs.
Oh, yeah. I was invited by a good friend of mine, Charlie Morgan, and he kind of bought dinner that night, and he ordered the stone crabs, and I had one of my assistants with me, and we both had a great time.
Well, I'm sure you don't have to wait for a table there. Whenever I go there, I have to wait 2 hours or something, but the food is definitely worth the wait. But let's get to your basketball team. You had 14 wins in a row up until this Wake Forest game, and some people could have said, and I don't agree with this, that you were looking ahead to that Duke game, and I know you have Virginia Tech coming up tomorrow night. What happened in that Wake Forest game where you lost over the weekend?
Well, there were a number of things. One, Wake Forest had a week to prepare for us, and they were really ready. They played a great game. They really shared the ball well. They defended us well. They shot it great. And they're a much better basketball team at home statistically. We went there and did not play with the same kind of juice and focus that we've had. We were healthy. We should have played much better than we did, but our defense was very porous. They got through it and got a lot of layups. They shot 58% from three. We're a much better defensive team than that. We put them on the foul line 31 times, which was the highest of any team we've faced this year. So we didn't have a very good game, and they did.
Some people, I'm not one of them, they're jumping off the bandwagon after one loss, and that's what happens sometimes when you go out there and lose to Wake Forest. But I really believe that was just a tough game for your team, and especially you play in the ACC. We're just like the A-10 where we see the Temple Owls playing. It's a rigorous conference. Things don't get any tougher than the ACC. You just see in this months of February and early March that it's just very tough to win in this league, Coach, as you know.
Well, the ACC is not the ACC for no reason. It's the best basketball conference in America. We've won like 5 or 6 of the last national championships out of the last 11. This is a great conference, and we're disappointed we lost on Saturday, but certainly do not feel like it's any earth-shaking news to lose a road game in the ACC to anybody.
What's been the feel in practice this week amongst the players leading into this Virginia Tech game coming up tomorrow night?
Well, we were very focused yesterday and had a very good practice. Hopefully it'll be the same today.
And you're mostly known for that 05-06 team that you got to the Final Four with, that George Mason team. When you compare that team that you got to the Final Four with, which was one of the most magical runs I've ever seen from any team in the NCAA tournament, to this Miami team now, what are some similarities from back to that Final Four team to this Miami team now?
Well, that George Mason team had 3 outstanding senior leaders, and they were the backbone of the team, and we had 2 sophomores who played great. This team has 5 outstanding seniors and 1 sophomore, so very similar in terms of leadership and the desire to do well.
Taking you back to that 05-06 run, when you were sitting there as a coach, when did you know that your guys had that run in them and they had some magical kind of stretch going? When you look back at that team, what was that defining moment for you through the course of that season?
Well, it actually occurred before the season ever began. I brought Bob Rotella, who's a internationally known sports psychologist, to talk with the team about how good we could be. And during that conversation, Lamar Butler, one of our senior co-captains, said that he felt like we were good enough to get to the Final Four. And I think everybody agreed with him that we had the talent and the kind of team, well-balanced, 5 guys who were capable of averaging double figures, all sharing the ball and playing good team defense, that before the season ever began, that was our goal, and we felt it was realistic. And of course, we were able to make that dream come true.
Jim Larranaga joins us, and you've been able to bring in players in the past to speak. I saw the other day that there was an article in the paper about Chris Bosh visiting and talking to your team. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, Chris Bosh is one of the great players for the Miami Heat, and he works out in our arena all during the summer. And he was in the weight room one day, and I asked him about how the summer workouts were going, and he told me, quite frankly, the guys didn't work very hard. And so I asked him if he would share that with the team. Brought the team into the weight room, and Chris Bosh gave one of the most inspiring 10-minute talks I've ever heard. And it was very heartfelt. He made his points, and I think it delivered a great message to our guys about the importance of working.
How important is it to develop that kind of relationship with a team like the Miami Heat, who won an NBA championship, have some of the best players in the world? Because I watched some of your games this year, and I've seen LeBron James. I've seen Dwayne Wade on those sidelines.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely great. We got to know Eric Spoelstra and his staff. His assistant, Ron Rothstein, and I have known each other a long time. It's one of those things that in the proximity we are, and with the players coming over during the summer, we've really developed a good relationship. My staff and I helped D. Wade with his fantasy camp in August, so we've gotten to know him. And, of course, he and LeBron, they're like the 1-2 punch, so they decided they wanted to come over. And James Jones, one of their teammates, is a graduate of the University of Miami, so those guys sat courtside for our game against North Carolina, a game we won. And, they were excited. They thought that we played very well.
When you look at the Florida fan base, you've seen a lot of people from New York, from Philadelphia, Chicago. It's all spread out, really, the fan base. But this Miami team, the fan base this year, I have to imagine you've been very impressed with them. I've watched some of those games. The fans, they show up in numbers, and I think you're a real good representation of that program. I have a friend that goes to the University of Miami, as Jim Larranaga joins us, by the name of Danny Cannon. He says he loves you, and he loves going to these basketball games. The atmosphere must be great down there.
Well, everybody told me it was going to be very challenging to get the fans to come out, but my staff and I have done a great job. The players have done a great job of reaching out to the community, reaching out to the student body. We've gone around to dormitories and given out pizza and chicken wings, and the students have come out in large numbers. We've had 5 sellouts this year with more to come.
Zach Gelb here on Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. 215-204-9449 is the number if you want to call and hang with us. Jim Larranaga, the men's head basketball coach for the 22-4 Miami Hurricanes, joins us. Jim, a few more questions right before we let you go. I have to get to this Shapiro stuff just real quick. How has this affected your team? Has it been a distraction?
No, we never talk about it, and, there's nothing we can do about it. We have an administration who's handling those issues, and my coaching staff and I are just focused on coaching the team, and the players are just focused on getting ready for the next opponent.
To me, Donna Shalala has done an incredible job handling this, and she came out and she said, we don't want any more sanctions. This is the final one from me about this whole situation. But what happens when you're doing a recruiting trip and a recruit says to you, hey, coach, I want to come play for your program, but what's going on with this whole Nevin Shapiro investigation? How do you respond to a recruit when this comes up?
Yeah, now that does happen. Now, this is a different category. We're talking recruiting now, and parents ask about it. And quite frankly, we tell them just what I told you. We had nothing to do with it, and our administration's taken care of it, and there's no news yet. We don't know what the sanctions might be.
Fair enough. Jim Larranaga joins us on the hotline, Philly's #1 college radio station, WHIP. 2 more questions right before we let you run, and we appreciate you coming on today. Virginia Tech, you've seen them before this year. You guys beat them not that long ago. What stands out to you with this Virginia Tech team? What do your players need to do to get that win tomorrow night?
Well, we held their leading scorer, Eric Green, to 30 points the last time. And you're going to need to do a better job than that this time. He's averaging like 26 points a game. He's the leading scorer in the country. He also gets the other guys involved, and some of their other players had outstanding games against us. And it was a very hard-fought battle up there. We trailed by 12 points early in the middle part of the first half. We were able to come back and win the game, but it's a different venue. It's at our place this time. Hopefully our players will be ready, and we'll play a great game.
The feel I get from you is that you really just love coaching this team because you have diligent players and you have a good roster from top to bottom. And that's why I think you guys will make a deep run this year in the tournament, whether it's the big men with Reggie Johnson and Kenny Kaji or the explosive guard and Scott. And then you also have guys that could just shoot the lights out of the ball and Shane Larkin, who's the son of Barry Larkin and Trey McKinney-Jones. Is that a fair assessment of this team, that they're just hard workers?
Well, they've worked very, very hard to get themselves to this point. And I think, Chris Bosh sent them a message, and they understood what he was saying. They took it to heart and have worked very, very hard. Our guys have gotten considerably stronger. They've gotten in much better shape. A number of guys have lost weight. We have seniors who are very hungry to play well. None of them have ever been in the NCAA tournament before, so they're excited about doing it.
Before we let you run, final one here for me as Jim Larranaga joins us. Not too many games left in the regular season. What's your message to your team before things get going in the ACC tournament and we turn that page eventually to the NCAA tournament?
Well, the message has been very consistent throughout the year. Take everything one day at a time, one practice at a time, one game at a time, and prepare each and every day to be the best that you can be.
Coach, I really appreciate it. We'd love to chat with you again. Best of luck the rest of the way. Your team's been fun to watch this year, and I wish you have many more victories. Have a great week against Virginia Tech and Duke, and let's talk to you again real soon. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.